Welcome to the Atomic Impact Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Osborn. And on this podcast, we interview successful business owners for them to share atomic, impactful lessons that they've learned throughout their business career, share them with us so that we can learn from them as well. As always, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way to close deals that doesn't rely on any of the old traditional methods that everybody hates. We use this method to book 26 qualified leads and sales calls in 10 days without any ad spend, outreach, or endless social media posting. To find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn to have a chat. That's Jason A. Osborn, and the link to that will be in the show notes below. But on today's show, our special guest is Penny Hopkinson. She's the owner of Manual Writers International, providing consultancy and a new SOP operations manual SaaS product that she's launching in February of this year, 2026, called Manual Magic AI. So, Penny, it's great to have you here. And I want to start off by asking you a question that I always love to ask, which is this. If you were able to start again today, knowing what you know now, what would you do differently in the first 12 months?
I would draw up my first 20 standard operating procedures, because if I was starting up, I would be on my own with very little support. I might have a VA, which would be wonderful, but usually not. So what would happen if I fell long-term sick? I wouldn't have anyone to take the business on while I was unable to work. The business could possibly die. So that's exactly what I would do.
So you would drop your first 20 SOPs very,
Yes,
very clearly. Okay.
absolutely. In detail.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. What do you think is the biggest hesitation or holdback for people to actually do that? Because I know a lot of people have, well, either no SOPs that they've written down, or they might have little, bits and bobs of SOPs. But what's the biggest challenge people face with that?
I think the biggest challenge is actually sitting down and doing it, because so many people, that they can write reports, they can do the writing in their job, but unfortunately, creating an SOP, it's a specialist skill, and you've actually got to put yourself in the position of the person you are writing the SOP for and take them step by step for everything they need to do to carry out that procedure perfectly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's really, really difficult to do. And I think the other thing is that when you're a little bit bigger than a startup and you've got a couple of staff, or even if you're a multi-site business and you've got a team creating an operations manual, you don't know where to start. How do you start
Mm.
it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It can be quite overwhelming at the daunting task of trying to get everything in your brain on paper for sure. Absolutely. Well, what's been the hardest part as you've been building your business over the years? What's been the hardest part of scaling what you do without becoming like salesy or spammy in what you do?
I think the hardest part has been finding people who do what I do,
Mm,
because I I would think my background is as a journalist. So it's reasonably easy for me to learn that craft. But most aspiring journalists, they want to see their name in bylines. You know,
yeah.
they want to make their mark. So they're not ideal. Then you find somebody who perhaps is going to retire. But unfortunately, they don't get it. They don't understand how to go step by step. They can write about anything. They can interview somebody and get that structure right, but they can't structure an SOP. And when you have a lot of work in, you don't have the time to train somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. So finding people to do what you do effectively and at least pretty close to what you're doing has been the hardest part. Yeah, totally get that. It's definitely a challenge. When it comes to actually relationship building with prospects and generating good leads and clients, what's one thing that you changed in how you build relationships to make selling feel easier for you?
Oh, the easiest way is networking. I belong to a number of network groups, which are fantastic. I started with a mastermind in the States before I wrote my book, and we had expert guests. And so it was a case of learning everything I needed to know to write that leadership book, to be key person of influence.
Mm,
And then I became a member of the Connected Leaders Academy in the States, and they're a great network. Then in the UK, I'm a member of Circle Networks, and they have 80 groups across the world. So this has been invaluable in getting my message out there. And of course, there's LinkedIn. Without LinkedIn and what we can do with it now, I couldn't keep in touch with all the franchising fraternity or the writers or, in fact, any of the groups to which I belong.
mm. Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. Like networking is one of those things that people often hear about and we're told to do, and I think we do on certain aspects of it. Are there any key tips that you've learned along the way that helps you network better amongst your target markets?
Yes, the first one, which you mentioned earlier, not being salesy. You need to, it's the know, like, trust, isn't it?
Yeah.
You build that relationship, and that person may not be your prospect, but in the old saying, they know a man who does.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. So were you gonna say something else there? I wasn't sure if you're finished with that, Penny.
Yes, that is know a man who does. So referrals are extremely powerful because there's nothing like somebody saying, "Oh, I've got so and so. They would be a great fit for your business."
Mm,
And you have that conversation, and you find that that is as near as you can get to the right person.
yeah, yeah. No, it is so important for that. Yeah, it's networking is just incredible, and when you find the right groups, which sounds like you have, they're absolutely they're just game changing for business. Absolutely. But when you look back at your business career, and I know you've been in business for a long time now, what's besides SOPs and talked about networking and things like that, what's the biggest challenge that you faced in growing your business? And what's the lesson you learned from that?
I think the biggest challenge is managing all aspects. When you don't like doing something, I hate admin. I hate filing. I hate all the sort of little bits that actually don't require too much brain power. I hate accounts. I won't say that I was born with, I can't remember what the term is, but number blindness. But it was something that dogged me in the early years of life. My eyesight was, they didn't understand that there was a problem with my eyesight. And I would not be able to make out threes, fives, eights, and nines. I couldn't just distinguish them adequately. So I'd get three or four different answers if I had to add some numbers together, and nobody could understand why that was. And it was something that didn't develop in my eye, one eye in particular, which when they found that I had cataracts in both eyes, it solved the problem. When I had new lenses, artificial lenses, miracle, absolute miracle. So it's really all that kind of admin stuff I think that if I had had somebody to do that, that would have left me freer, and it wouldn't have been such a break, if you like, to say, oh, today's an admin day, or I've got to do my VAT return. Watch out, if I do my VAT return, I am in a bad mood.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and well, first of all, it's really interesting about the eyesight thing. Like, yeah, really interesting. I'm glad they were able to get that sorted and fixed for you for sure. But it is a challenge, isn't it? When you're doing things in your business, you go into business ideally doing the thing you enjoy doing, but then you realize there's a lot of stuff to make a business successful that you don't like doing. And yeah, it is definitely a big challenge for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you look now over the next, let's say 2 to 3 years of your business, I know you're launching your new AI, your SaaS software, but what are your goals? What are you looking to achieve in the business?
Well, I disrupted the franchise industry in particular quite a lot by telling everybody in my book that we must not talk about operations manuals anymore. We should call them knowledge sharing environments where everybody can participate, learn, and grow.
Mhm.
So, my focus is on multi generational audiences because so many people disregard this. We have up to 5 different generations under one workplace. Up to about 30% of the global workforce will be under 30 by 2029, 2030.
Wow.
They all have different learning styles and abilities. And when you look at under 40s, they do not read text-heavy material.
Mm,
There's YouTube, Instagram, TikTok generations.
yeah.
Upcoming alpha, they won't read a line. And most operations manuals are text-heavy. I am trying to move everybody away from that, and Manual Magic AI is a way to create a platform with checklists, detailed SOPs, FAQs, frequently asked questions, and we can create storyboards from existing intellectual property, which makes the difference. So all your scattered, part-written SOPs and policies and other materials can be uploaded, and it will sort it into my 6 categories that are tried and tested from everyone from startups to very well established multi-site organizations. And you can have a great ecosystem. So the plan is to use the OP creation hub into a true hub where you have spokes. Off those spokes, you have additional services open to support the whole operation.
Wow. That's amazing. That's really cool. It sounds very exciting, and it's great to see that, there's so much stuff that can be done to help that because, yeah, user manuals, they're not always the funnest thing to be involved with and read, but they're necessary. You got to have them. So, well, Penny, for people that are looking to get in touch with you, what's the best place for them to contact you?
Well, they can go straight to www.manualmagic, or one word, .ai, and I'm contactable there, but LinkedIn is a great way to start. Please connect on my LinkedIn profile and just ping a DM and say where you heard me, and that would be terrific.
Amazing. Well, I definitely recommend everyone to reach out to Penny, particularly if you have those key manuals that you don't like to write, but you need to. Definitely reach out to Penny for that. So, and as a reminder for everyone listening, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way to close deals that doesn't rely on any of the old traditional methods that everybody hates. To find out more, send me a direct message on LinkedIn. That's Jason A. Osborn on LinkedIn. The link to that will be in the show notes below. And until next episode, stay inspired.